Hey everyone, it's Ethan or Miist back again for another video today, and welcome back to the channel, guys. We're here again for yet another video, and let's hop right into it. We have 20 things to talk about, 19 movies and one season of TV. Let's get into it, starting it off with the one and only season of TV I watched this week, which Mel and I grinded all of season 2 of XO Kitty, which I really enjoyed. We both really enjoyed. We both liked it more than the first season, and we had a really great time with it. I think we both really enjoyed it a lot. I ranked it a 90 out of 100, which is pretty dope. I really enjoyed this season of TV, so that's great. Alright, let's get into the movies. Like I said, I watched 19 movies this week. I'm going to try to not stay on any of them for too long, so let's get into it. Let's start it off with Teen Beach 2. One of the themes of the week, Mel and I watched the Teen Beach movies. I wrote in my review, I'd leave Mel for Maya Mitchell and or Grace Phipps. This was really hard to sit through, but I hated it much more last night than I do right now, as its rating is a little inflated. So if I had to rank this right after watching the movie, it probably would have been like a half star, to be honest. I really struggled to sit through this movie. It was brutal. And obviously, read my review because it was a joke. But Mel made a funny comment at the end. She did that. So, but yeah, Teen Beach 2, 26 out of 100. It's actually my least favorite of the Disney Channel original movies now, from what Mel and I have seen together. So, let's move on to kind of a disappointing watch, which is Nosferatu from 1922, which I think is now my oldest movie, and it's my second silent film. And so far, I'm 0 for 2 with silent films. I just don't think I'm going to get into them very much, unfortunately. I really don't enjoy watching silent films. I really struggle to enjoy either of the two that I've seen. So I don't know if I'm ever going to like them. So it's kind of hard to sit through, to be honest. And I mean, this is over 100 years old at this point. So it's a very old movie, which is crazy to think about. That's crazy to think about, yeah. Anyways, let's move on to Bones and All. One of my goals for this year is to watch more Luca Guadagnino movies, and this is one of them. It's one I actually wanted to see in theaters a few years ago, but never got around to doing so. Watched it this week. Very uncomfortably watched this while I was on my lunch, which, if you don't know what this is literally about just a bunch of cannibals. Yeah, very interesting movie. I don't know, it's really weird, and I didn't love it, really. I ranked it a 57 out of 100. Let's move on to Eraserhead. Now, rest in peace to David Lynch, who sadly passed away this past week. Unfortunately, I've never really experienced any of Lynch's movies until this week. I had only seen Dune, that he directed in, I think it was 1984 or 86. It's sometime in the mid-80s, I believe. Last year, which I didn't love, and not many people do anyways, to be fair, but yeah, I ended up watching his, I believe, debut feature film with Eraserhead, which I'm not gonna lie, I definitely don't love, but it's quite ambitious, and it is definitely a thought-provoking movie. I unfortunately just didn't love this movie, and I do think there's a lot of people that have watched this movie that don't love it, and unfortunately I kind of fall on that. And although I do recognize the genius in this movie, I don't know, I just kind of felt confused and lost by the end of the runtime, so maybe that's my own fault, but we'll talk about more David Lynch in a moment. 60 out of 100 for Eraserhead. Let's move on to The Northman. And The Northman, directed by Robert Eggers, a movie I wanted to see a few years ago in theaters, never got around to seeing it. I had started it, I remember, I think 2 years ago, but I never finished it. Anyways, The Northman, it's okay. Rated a 62 out of 100, a very interesting revenge story, period piece that I didn't love, although I do think it's technically great. Definitely on a technical aspect, it is a great movie. I just didn't love this movie, and so far, both of Robert Eggers' movies that I've seen, I don't love, which I'm a little disappointed about because I really thought I would love his filmography. So now I just have the two horrors with The Witch and The Lighthouse. So we'll see how that goes. Going to do that sometime in the next few weeks. Let's move on to Wolfman, the first 2025 watch of the year, which thought it was okay. Thought it was a decent 64 out of 100. Nothing too special. I don't really love the direction that this Wolfman was taken. I don't love the character design, but there were some pretty decent horror and thrilling scenes throughout. And there were some pretty cool filming aspects through it as well from, I believe, Lee Wannell. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but yeah, I'm going to try to watch Lee Wannell's Invisible Man this week as well, so we'll see. Nonetheless, let's keep going on with Teen Beach Movie. This is a childhood banger, which I ranked at 67 out of 100, so nothing too special, nothing too great, but there is a pretty great soundtrack to this movie, and Cruisin' for a Bruisin' is like Mel's drunk song, especially with her friends, so we've listened to it throughout our entire year-and-a-half relationship at this point, and we've talked about it a lot, about how we wanted to watch it. We just never really sat down and actually done it. So finally decided to do it this week. And I will say it was quite a fun watch. It's quite ridiculous, but it's fun, to say the least. 67 out of 100. Let's move on to yet another childhood classic of both mine and Mel's, Over the Hedge, which we just finished watching. And I ranked it a 72. I think Mel ranked it a 77, somewhere around there. We both had a pretty good time with this movie as well. Way, way, way better than I ever remembered or ever thought it was going to be on rewatch, especially as an adult now. I didn't expect to like this as much as I did. This is pretty chaotic, but a really just fun movie with some interesting themes throughout as well that are kind of touched on, but yeah, had a great time. Also, shout out Gladys. Justice for Gladys. She just wanted to have a party, bro. She just didn't want animals in her yard. I don't blame her. She should have just put up a fence, though. But that's alright. 72 out of 100. Let's move on to Gifted, which is one of the many movies I actually cried to this week. Now, I didn't find the emotional pieces of this movie to really hit me as much as I expected them to, except for what happened with Fred. I was very worried for Fred's safety throughout this movie, and if you know, you know. And as a cat dad, I was very emotional seeing Fred at the SPCA, in a kennel. Oh man, that hurt, and I was literally sobbing at work. So that really, really hurt my soul. So. 76 out of 100. I did enjoy this. Love looking at Chris Evans for 2 hours, and it's a pretty well acted movie as well. Let's move on to Mulholland Drive, which is David Lynch's most popular movie, and I was really looking forward to this movie, but please read my review, and I think I'm going to read it because I think it kind of sums up how I feel about this movie. I think I'm just going to have to accept the fact that I am not smart enough to be watching David Lynch movies. This is the second movie in a row where I've had to read reviews and search things up, literally searching Mulholland Drive ending explained regarding it because I didn't fully understand it. At times long, but overall it's very well made. I just wish I had have understood it more because I think I would have enjoyed it more. So I ranked it a 77 out of 100. I definitely enjoyed this more than I didn't, but I do feel like my rating is super low because of how smart this movie is and how unsmart I am. Like I watch a lot of movies, but I don't watch a lot of thought-provoking movies, I wouldn't say. Like there's a lot of movies that I see, but I don't find a lot of them are super thought-provoking and super elaborate, like Mulholland Drive and Eraserhead for that matter. So I think I'm gonna have to get more. I gotta try to get in the right headspace when I'm watching David Lynch movies, clearly, because both of these movies I feel like kind of suffer due to that. Literally just due to me not being smart enough to watching them. So it's just hard for me to dissect them as I don't have a background in film. I've never taken film courses or film studies. So this is really just like me really trying to deep dive into David Lynch's filmography since his passing, which was one of my goals this year anyways. But yeah, we'll see. I'm going to go through more of his filmography this year and we'll see how that goes. This is definitely a movie I want to rewatch, though. Let's move on to Den of Thieves, which I ranked a 78 out of 100. This far exceeded my expectations. I thought this was going to be like just kind of middle of the road, boring action shitfest, but it's pretty damn solid. I thought there was a really great twist in it. I think it's very suspenseful and very thrilling, and some pretty solid action set pieces throughout as well. There's an interesting story, and I'm excited to watch the second one. I didn't get to watch the second one this week, so I'm going to go see it in theaters this week coming. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. 78 out of 100. Well, let's move on to one of the themes of the week. Mel and I started going through the Pixar movies this week, and we have a goal to watch all the Pixar movies this year. Starting my list off with Finding Dory, which I ranked a 78 out of 100. Shout out the connections to Modern Family, as I'm currently going through Modern Family for the first time with Mel. But this is a really cute and heartwarming movie. I just don't think it's really a needed sequel. Not that that loses points for it, but overall I just think it's not that great. I do think it's pretty good. And Baby Dory is probably the cutest baby in cinema history. Honestly, she's absolutely adorable. But yeah, I just feel like this is a legacy sequel that never needed to be made. You know, there's lots of movies like that, but yeah, 78 out of 100. So let's move on to my last watch of the week, which I just finished before recording this video, An American Werewolf in London, which I ranked a 79 out of 100. This is a very great technical movie. It's really, really special looking at the special effects, the wolf transition, the makeup, and the costume design throughout this movie. It's really, really exceptional, and it honestly makes for a better movie. Some pretty thrilling scenes, and I think it's a decent horror, especially for its age, being almost 45 years old. So really, really awesome. This is a movie I'd like to rewatch at some point. I've seen it was leaving Prime soon. It's always been on my watch list. Glad I was able to get around to it. 79 out of 100. Let's move on to another theme that I have this year and another theme of the week, which is Sully, which is Clint Eastwood directed, which I would like to go through more of his filmography. Sully, based on a true story, very interesting, and truthfully, it's not something I've ever heard of, so as a Canadian, maybe that's why, and I'm born in 2001, so like it only happened about 15, 16 years ago now, so nonetheless, I learned a lot about this movie. Yeah, it was just really interesting, really thrilling, and I really am enjoying that about Clint Eastwood's filmography. 81 out of 100. Let's move on to Ratatouille, which actually went down a lot. I ranked it a 91 down to an 83 out of 100, so it's gone down quite a lot of points. But I planned a little date night for Mel and I earlier this week. She came home. I had supper already, and we decided to watch Ratatouille, which we both enjoyed. So far, it's Mel's favorite of the Pixar movies that we've gone through, out of the 5 that we've gone through. The 5 that we went through this week, I believe, actually, which is crazy. But yeah, I still enjoyed it a lot. It just didn't hit as much as I kind of remembered, kind of hoped. So nothing against Ratatouille. It's still very great, obviously. An 83 out of 100. Let's move on to one of my childhood favorites growing up, Finding Nemo, which I also lowered the ranking to. I believe I had this at a 93, I think, somewhere around there. Lowered it down to an 85. I do think it's a little slow at times, and sometimes I mean it's only like an hour and 40 minutes, but I actually feel like it's a little bit longer than it needs to be. Although it's quite funny and it's quite interesting, and I feel like it's a quite unique story. The opening scene is really sad and depressing, but I feel like the end is kind of abrupt. I feel like it kind of came out of nowhere, even though I've seen this movie literally dozens of times from childhood till adulthood. But nonetheless, I still enjoyed it. 85 out of 100. Let's move on to the top 3, which I actually watched all in a row on January 15th and 16th. Starting it off with number 3 of the week, Luca, which Luca, I am really, really falling in love with this movie. I seen it in 2023, really enjoyed it, ranked it an 85 out of 100. this time around, gone up to an 86 out of 100. So, yeah, I know I'm in the minority for liking this more than like Ratatouille, Finding Nemo, Finding Dory maybe too, but I really, really enjoy Luca. I have a lot of fun with this movie, rewatching it with Mel, and it was Mel's first time watching it. She didn't love it, which I'm not really surprised by, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm just enjoying it every time more when I watch it. So, very great. 86 out of 100. Let's move on to Million Dollar Baby, which is my second favorite of the week, which I ranked an 87 out of 100. I had a great time with this movie as well. This was a emotional roller coaster, and what a movie I thought was going to be all about triumph and rags to riches turned out to be one of the most depressing movies I've watched this year, and being a very sad movie that I was not expecting. So, yeah, quite dreadful, but shout out to Clint. I believe this is my favorite of his directed movies now so far. So that's interesting. And let's move on to my number one of the week, which is Coco, which I ranked at 91 out of 100. I did not have this ranked, but I did see this years ago. I think the year after it came out. So really unique and awesome and heartwarming and emotional and visually stunning and breathtaking, with perhaps the best music in all of Pixar. This is a really special movie, and I really enjoyed it. So, and I'm glad I enjoyed it so much. This is Mel's second favorite so far as we're going through Pixar. So it's both in our top two right now, at least. Well, it's my number one so far that we've seen out of the 5 that we've seen this week, and it's her number 2. So very cool. Nonetheless, this was a long one. Sorry about that, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy, and I will see you for a Funko Friday this week. That is a promise. That is something I'm going to do this week. I haven't done it in like 3 or 4 weeks, so I'm sorry. Again, thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.